Minecraft just added 4 new decorative plants to the game, and I'm here to show you how to farm them in the quickest and easiest way possible for Minecraft Bedrock and Java Edition. So there's not much to say about these 4 new plants. We have the regular bush right here, the Firefly bush, the tall and short dry grass, which you can see here, and we also have wildflowers as well. There's only 2 types of mechanics with these plants. There is how they grow and how to harvest them. So all 4 of these plants require bone meal to grow and spread, and the bushes and the tall grass all spread in the cardinal direction. So forwards, backwards, left, and right. Once you bone meal them, as you can see here, that is pretty much just how that works for all of these ones. Not really anything too special there. The dry grass is a little bit different, so you'll start off with the short dry grass, and then you can bone meal that into the tall dry grass. Once you have a tall one, you can bone meal it, and that spreads in the 4 cardinal directions. Now for all 3 of these plants, if you happen to block the other 3 directions that it can grow, it'll just always grow to the one open area, so it'll never waste bone meal, and this makes it really easy to farm. There's also the wildflowers in this update, and these are basically identical to pink petals. To get these ones, you simply bone meal them, and then you just keep bone mealing them, and they just absolutely pop off, and these will give you the yellow dye. Unfortunately, you need to manually collect the bushes because those require shears. You also need shears to collect the short and tall dry grass as well. However, firefly bushes you can punch with your fist or harvest with a piston. Now technically these are all just decorative blocks. However, there are some genuine uses for these things, except the bush. This is a completely useless block. It's just for decoration. Now at nighttime, the firefly bush actually emits some light, and it gives you these nice firefly particles, and it also makes this nice little ambient sound. So these are pretty cool, but there's no actual uses outside of this right here. The dry grass is genuinely useful, so if you put some of this inside of a pen with a sheep, they will actually eat that block directly to regrow their wool. Sometimes it takes a minute, but if you put a bunch of sheep in there, this is a great way to get a super small and super fast wool farm. If you haven't found these new plants in your Minecraft world, here's a quick recap of where you can get these. Bushes can be found in plains biomes, and you can just bone meal the ground in those biomes to get more bushes. Firefly bushes can be found in new chunks and swamps and around rivers, kind of rarely. The wildflowers can be in some meadows and birch forest biomes in new chunks, and you'll have to go to new chunks in deserts and mesa biomes to find the new dry grass. You can also buy most of these plants from the Wandering Trader if you don't feel like exploring your world, but it's a rare chance. All these plants are fairly expensive on bone meal. It takes 1 bone meal to get a single one of these plants, unless you want the tall dry grass, which takes 2 bone meal. But if you need an excellent bone meal farm, then check out my recent fish farm tutorial. This thing produces up to 40,000 bone meal per hour. It's absolutely insane, and is the only bone meal farm you'll ever need on Bedrock Edition. And let's build up the semi-automatic bush, firefly bush, short grass, and wildflower farm. So this thing is going to be incredibly easy to build. You need a 2x4 area, and it's also going to be 3 blocks tall as well. These are all the materials that you need to build the farm. Those are 2 dispensers. You will need a sticky piston and a couple of observers. You will also need some grass or dirt or something that you can actually grow the flowers on, and of course some bone meal. So we're going to start by placing in a couple of dispensers right here, and these blocks in front of it are actually where you're going to be placing down the plants and bone mealing them, so these will have to be your grass or your dirt or something. On top of this, we just need 4 blocks simply like that. We're going to place in a lever right here and a lever on the lower right spot. Now go around to the back side of the build. You're going to need a sticky piston facing downwards right off of that top upper block right there. You need an observer facing the build right here, a temporary block right here, and then an observer facing away from the build like so. So these ones will be facing each other once you flick this lever, and that will activate both of your bone meal dispensers, as you can see there. Now, if you're building this in a big grassy area like I am, then you're going to need some buttons in these 4 locations to stop the plants from spreading in places that you don't want to. However, if you're building this like just in your base, then chances are you'll have some regular blocks in these areas that plants can't spread to, so you'll be totally fine and you don't need the buttons. And of course, make sure to fill up your dispensers with bone meal. If you want an automatic refiller for the bone meal, you can simply put a hopper and a chest right there on either side of this thing. Now, there's 2 ways of using this thing. So this upper lever will actually turn on the bone meal dispensers. As you can see, both of those are active. And if you flick this right lever, that is going to turn off the right dispenser. As you see, no more particles. This allows you to farm the short, dry grass. So using this thing is really easy. You just put in your main growing block right here. That's going to get bone mealed and spread to this location right here. So if we put some bushes in there, as you can see, that's going to spread to the right. And then you just stand here mining this thing with some shears and you'll get an absolute ton of bushes. Now you can also break out this left one and put a firefly bush there. And then you can simply punch this with your hand and get a bunch of those. If you put wildflowers right there, then all of those are simply going to pop off and you'll get a ton of those very quickly. And then if you put a piece of dry grass right there, that's actually going to spread to the side. Now, this is how you can actually farm the short dry grass. As you can see, this right dispenser is off, so we can simply mine this with our shears and we'll get an absolute ton of the short dry grass. As you can see, we got like 40 of that already. Now, if you want to get the tall dry grass, unflick this lever. That will bone meal this thing, and then you can continue just speed mining this thing, and you will only ever get the tall dry grass from this. You'll never get a short one, and that's really great. So as you can see, this one little farm can do all 5 of these plants, and honestly, this little farm can do a lot more plants than that, but that's the purpose of this tutorial. And this is your automatic Firefly bush farm. As you can see, this thing is incredibly simple. It just automatically bone meals and then harvests every single one of those Firefly bushes. You get 1 bush per bone meal, and as you can see, there is no loss with this build. You get an absolute ton of these bushes. So the materials that you need to build this thing is everything in this chest right here. Of course, you'll need a couple pieces of grass or dirt to actually grow those plants on, and of course, you'll also need some bone meal. The glass is optional. Those could be solid blocks, but it's nice to look into the build. You'll need a 4x4x4 area to build this, and it's also going to be 2 blocks above the ground and 1 block below the ground on the front here, just for your item collection. So we're going to start by placing in a dispenser right here and a piston right next to it. We're going to place in our Firefly bush right there. Break out these 3 blocks on the front. You need in a double chest right here, and then a hopper going into that double chest like so. We're going to put in a couple pieces of glass around this build. These will help contain your items and make sure that things don't go flying all over the place. And you also need one right here as well. That way nothing lands up on these edges. Now place in yourself a couple of solid blocks right here. Solid block right here, and of course you'll need one down in the floor. So now we just need to fill in this with some redstone. So we're going to put in a piece of redstone dust right there, a redstone torch on the backside, and a piece of redstone dust right there. Getting yourself a block right here, that should power your dispenser. We're going to put in a repeater right here on 2 ticks, and then simply a solid block in front of that. And as you can see, that is going to start your farm. If you put some bone meal in your dispenser, well, it's already going to be producing items for you. To turn off the farm, simply place in yourself a lever right here, flick that, and your farm is now off. And then you can restart this whenever you want, and it will start right back up. It's not going to waste any bone meal at all. And as you can see, we're getting a ton of Firefly bushes pretty much instantly. And of course, these farms work on Java Edition as well. However, you know, there's the tiniest little bit of loss because maybe Bedrock's just better. Anyway, so as you can see, it does work here perfectly fine. Now, if you want an automatic way to refill that bone meal dispenser, simply put in a hopper right there and a chest, and then you can fill that up with as much bone meal as you want, as you can see there. And that's it for the super quick and easy tutorial. If you like this video, then drop a like, share it around, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.